What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Debbie Rao YouTube channel. I'm your host, as always, Kevin Coleman, and we are back with another Reading the Room. This is my favorite series that we do here on the channel. Seriously, I have a lot of fun doing it, and we look at different rooms around college football that have some question marks, right? So we've done quarterbacks, running backs, wide receiver rooms all across the country. Today, we're looking at Penn State wide receivers. So what we're going to do, Penn State has a chance to win the Big Ten. They are that good. When you're thinking of Drew Alder, they have Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton, two of the best running backs in the Big Ten. In my opinion, they could be a top 5 group in the country already, right? And that's without the development that we're going to see. Theo Johnson's a very, very solid tight end. The question mark for Penn State is that wide receiver room, and who can take that next step with Mitchell Tinsley, Parker Washington being gone. Who's going to take the next step in that room? So that's what we're going to be looking at here. This is a fun kind of series, going through kind of who's going to be there, who could be that breakout, who's that sleeper that we all kind of like here, and then diving into what that offense will look like moving forward. So if you love college football, if you like Penn State, if you play a little fantasy on the college side, this video is for you. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll check you guys on the other side. All right, I had to throw my boy up there, Keandre Lambert-Smith, but let's get into it. Let's talk about what Penn State offense looked like last year. Really, they were really limited. They had a very good year. Winning the Rose Bowl is nothing to sneeze at in terms of just talent overall, but they had Sean Clifford at quarterback, and he can only deliver so much. Now, he did get drafted, which shocked the hell out of me, but here we are, right? So last year we saw scoring offense was 25th in the nation. Not bad, but pretty mediocre, right? 34.5 points per game. Total offense, again, 35th in the country, 430 yards basically per game. You see the plays per game and passing attempts per game there at 53rd and 57th. Pass percentages in middle of the range, just mid, right? As the kids say. I probably shouldn't say that. But that's really what they were. Now, they were efficient. They had a really good defense, and that's what really allowed them to win games. And what that offense did was it allowed them to win the games that they were supposed to, right? When you're looking at their schedule, they didn't have a bad loss. But when you're looking at who they need to beat, they got to beat Ohio State and Michigan. Let's keep it real. If they want to win the Big Ten, those are the two teams they got to beat. And that offense last year was not set up to do so. So the hope is that the offense this year is set up to do so, right? That's if you're a Penn State fan, that's what you're looking for. Now, when we're talking about the rooms and the wide receiver room, we need to know who's going to step up. First guy here is Keandre Lambert-Smith. He's someone that I've definitely liked, probably a little bit more than most out there in the circles of scouting and everything there. The big problem, you saw the dip in production last year. So in 2022, when we were expecting that big kind of breakout for him after having a pretty good year his sophomore year, he dipped down, right? 4 touchdowns, 389 yards, just wasn't there. He came in at wide receiver 32, and he is definitely on the coaching staff, and everything I've read about in the spring and everything there, they're expecting him to have a big year. They want him to have a big year, and I think they kind of know they need him to have a big year. Now, they have some very good wide receivers outside of him, but being in this system for 4 years now, what he can be, I think, is really the exciting thing for the coaching staff. When you're looking at what he does really well, explosiveness, right? He's very good at over the top. If he can become Penn State's over the top deep threat, this offense is going to really do well, right? They really need that deep threat guy. They always seem like they have that possession wide receiver that can get yak, but not necessarily take the top off the defense. Lambert-Smith could be that kid. And if he is, this offense and Drew Alder are going to get elevated. If he's not, then we're going to struggle. I think he tracks the ball very well. I think he does a good job on the sidelines, able to kind of, good catch radius. Those are the things you really like about Keandre. Yak ability as well. He has that. I think when he does catch it in space, he can break it off. I think that he does have the yards after catch in terms of deep balls. He can do all of that. Now he's got to put it all together. Where his areas of improvement come from, he just had inconsistent production. We've talked about that already. You saw the stats, the raw stats, right? The box score. So how can he fix that? Well, these two things is what he's got to work on. Work through zone coverages. I think that he can sometimes get lost when teams play zone against Penn State. He just doesn't find the openings, and that's something he's got to work on because he has that yak. He has the speed. If he can figure out how to manipulate zone coverage, he could be that big play threat in any type of coverage out there. So I think that's the big one, working through that zone coverage, being that guy. Press coverage as well. Sometimes he just gets knocked off his route. I don't know if that comes from lack of strength, footwork, whatever the case may be. press coverage is something that you're looking for him to get better at. Now, if he can do these two things better, though, he's going to have better production. We could have a breakout year of 1,000 yards, right? We could really see them really do well here. So that's where you want to see him develop and get better at. Now, the next guy in this room is Dante Cephas. Now, transfer from Penn State, coming over, probably one of the more experienced guys in this room with Keandre Lambert-Smith. I know they're expecting big things from him. There is, lukewarm expectations in terms of me, because a group of 5 kid going to a Power 5 program can struggle a little bit. And you're going to the Big Ten, playing against these teams like Ohio State, Michigan, in these areas, in this conference, right? In this division, you got to really step up. So, and you got to love this kid in terms of work ethic. Came in as a 2-star kid, wide receiver 333 when he came in, and he battled his ass off and got to where he needs to be. So you have to give him a shout out there, right? Now, as far as where Dante fits in this offense and what is his strengths, for me, he's the possession guy. I really feel like if Keandre Lambert-Smith can be that deep threat guy, really kind of work over the top, and I know he might play in the slot, Lambert-Smith, but he can still be that deep guy and kind of learn that zone. You have Cephas here being that possession route running guy, right? Going to get in the ball, has really solid hands, going to go up and get it. I think he could be Drew Alder's safety outlet. So he could be that guy, just every time Drew needs a guy, needs a catch, he's going to look for Cephas out there. And I think that's where his strength lies in this offense, and he can elevate that offense in those areas. And I think he can create separation. He's pretty good at getting open. That's just from experience and nuances in the route running facility in the area there. But that's where his strengths lie. Now, where are his areas of improvement? I just don't, speed. I don't know if he can just become fast, right? Athleticism as well. So the speed, athleticism are like the question marks. I don't think that's in his game, and that's just something where they need those other guys to take up that and step up there. I don't think he's going to be the deep threat in this offense. I think he can make big plays. I'm not saying he's not a big play kid, but I don't know if that's consistent enough, which is okay. I think the coaching staff has done a really good job of building this room, right, based on strengths and weaknesses of all these wide receivers. If they hit their ceiling, then you're excited, because I think they all play well together in terms of where their strengths are. Now, next kid in this offense, Harrison Wallace III. This kid is getting a little buzz, and I think he's good to put on notice. Wide receiver 35 of his class, 4-star kid. Redshirted his freshman year, you can see that. Last year, had some moments, right? 19 catches, 273 yards, and a touchdown. And I'll tell you this, like going through it, he's been getting rave reviews based on just everything I've heard from coaching staff, some of the beat reporters out there as well. Harrison is getting some love, and maybe he can be that starting Z in this offense, and that's why we have to kind of note him. What are some strengths of his? I think athleticism plays. There's a video of him, talking about his vertical, and it's ridiculous just how athletic this kid can be. He could also be that big play guy, right? So if you have Lambert-Smith and Harrison really being the big play threats in this offense, and then Cephas kind of going over the middle, crossing routes, those type of things, that is what you need for an offense. Like those are the areas that you need, and it could really, really elevate this team. And everything I hear about this kid is intangibles. Hard worker. Dude does all the little things. That's the shit I like as a former coach, as a teacher, as just a dude that loves football. If I hear that, I'm checking those boxes. I don't care what anybody says. I know that analytics guys won't like that, but give me that hard-nosed dude that's going to come in there and grind. As far as areas of improvement for me with him, the depth chart competition, will he be able to win that job? We're going to be talking about some guys behind him. Can he step up and be that dude? Limited production as well. So I think with all of these guys, it's limited production, right? Where are these guys going to be able to actually step up and be that wide receiver 1 or 2 in this room? And in route running, I think they mentioned that, like, he has all the athletic tools, but does he have the balance tools? Can he kind of understand route running, the nuances of it, create separation, get open with the limited reps that he had? So that's where you're looking at. Is he going to take that next step? But sounds like from spring, he is taking that step. So you love that, right? You love that about him. Now, this kid is the one that could be the breakout. Okay. So Kaden Saunders is a guy that we've definitely liked in this channel a little bit. And when you look at all the recruiting and the depth charts out there, Saunders is down in terms of where the depth chart is. But make no mistake about it, this kid is talented. Wide receiver 12 last year in the class, 4-star kid, had some time he needed to develop. And you think you saw that over the spring this year. You've kind of, coaching staff has talked about how he wasn't necessarily ready to go when he came in. But man, when you're looking at strengths, this kid's got open field explosiveness and speed. Like, he is so much fun to watch. If you go want to have some fun and you're a degenerate like I am, go watch his high school tape. Some of his high school tape is just absolutely just bonkers. Like, his ability to just make guys miss, shift gears, create separation. Like, Saunders can do that. And I think that is where he could be that guy in this offense that you're like, oh my gosh, where'd this kid come from? Oh, I remember listening about him. Like, he could really take that next step, right? I think he needed time to get some weight, some strength up in that area. But man, this kid is fluid and good. Route running is great as well. As far as like areas of improvement you like to see, versatility, like, I want to see him. They talked about him like playing the slot, but also on the outside. So are we going to be able to see him move around? I think the best thing progressing for him, if we're going to talk about NFL, can he hit both, right? Can he be a slot guy? Can he be an outside guy? Strength too. Like, did he put on the weight that he needs at that level? Has that strength and has that ability? And then depth chart competition as well for him. Like, can he kind of break out, right? When we're thinking of breakouts or sleepers, and this is probably our sleeper of the depth chart, can he break out and be that guy? And I think that's the question that you have to look at when you're talking about Kaden Saunders. Now, some other guys in here to kind of go over, just to kind of go through. We're not going to go deep scouting because you guys don't want to necessarily listen to all that. Amari Evans is a kid last year, 5 catches, 55 yards, came in as a wide receiver, 59, 6 foot, 189. They have a type at Penn State in terms of what they like at their wide receiver position, and Amari definitely fits that. You go in the next one. This was a transfer from Florida State, and this is the sneaky one, Malik McClain, because he is different than any other guy they have in this room. So when you're talking about his profile and what he is, 6'4", 202. So we don't, when you're looking at the roster, everything's 6 foot or under for Penn State wide receiver room. Not Malik. Maybe he becomes that red zone guy for Aller in that offense, and they look to go get it to him. It's interesting because I don't think they have a guy like him, and they haven't had a guy like Malik in a long time. And I think this coaching staff really, really realized they needed to go get someone like this, and he could really elevate that offense, and we could see it. So this is what I was talking to you guys when they built this room. They really looked at the deficiencies of what they needed for the last few years, and they've really adjusted their recruiting and their transfer kind of status and going and getting some of these guys. Malik fits that to a T. So that's something to know. And then as we get into these other guys, Liam Clifford is there, 6'1", 196, wide receiver, 39, 4-star recruit. They like him. They talk about him just being that slot guy. He's just going to move the chains, first down getter. He has grit, sneaky athleticism, all the stuff that you hear for guys like Liam and what they project as. I wouldn't necessarily think of it as like a fantasy asset if you play college fantasy, but as for a receiver and this offense and what he is, could be a lot of fun, right? And he could just be that guy that just moves the chains for this offense. Now, let's talk about their other stuff, right? So what else do they got here? Quarterback room, it's Drew Aller. That's really where it's at. Bo's there, Prabula, and then Jackson Smolik is there, but Drew Aller's their guy. Drew Aller could be the 2025 quarterback one when we talked to him. We did a video already on Aller versus Klubnik and maybe their expectations there. Drew could be that guy moving forward. Running back room is actually stacked. Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen are really good. Then they got transfer Trey Potts, who is really good as well. Tank Smith, Cam Wallace, true freshman. Those guys round out a solid running back room. And honestly, it could be the best running back room in the Big Ten collectively. Now, I'm a Michigan fan, so I'm always going to lean with Michigan. I know Ohio State has one, but they're competing right there. We can't deny that running back room is really, really good. And then from a tight end perspective, you have Theo Johnson, Tyler Warren, those guys there. Theo has always been a guy that we've expected to break out, but he's needed to develop a little bit. Him coming back was probably really big for this offense and for Theo as the development side. I like Theo. I think Theo can really take that next step for this offense as well. And let's talk about a prediction. So when we do predictions for wide receivers, it's a little tough. So what I basically say on these is like, who could lead that room? And I'm going to go Keandre Lambert-Smith. I'm going to lean there with the sleeper beating Kaden Saunders, right? I think Cephas and Harrison are great. But I do think Keandre can be that guy that really steps up, is the top dog in that wide receiver room, has that experience. And if it's not him, Kaden Saunders might be that guy that just explodes out of there. And that's how I would kind of look at this. But I do think Lambert-Smith is getting kind of slept on a little bit in the Big Ten from that wide receiver room perspective and just from the wide receivers overall. And I think also from just getting slept on perspective, I think this Penn State team is getting slept on from just a prospect analysis, from a ceiling play from a Big Ten contender, from just a playoff maybe contender getting in there. If Drew Aller takes that next step and James Franklin lets him roll, I think this team could go win the Big Ten. I'm really, really impressed with them. But, college football has a way to kind of ruin people's dreams. So we appreciate you guys tuning in the channel. No one is doing this type of content. And if they are, that means they probably got it from us. Please go check out the Patreon below. We're pushing to 200. We cannot, thank you guys enough. If you're into college football, into fantasy, go check that out. I don't think anybody does it better than us with how many people we have. We have 4 of us here on the channel that work our ass off for you guys to give you guys content that we really, really, truly believe in. So I appreciate you guys. I'm going to hit a Patreon promo when we get out of here so you can take a look what's in there. We have a big, big update coming in our Devy manifesto, our college football manifesto as well.
Have you joined the Devy Royale's Patreon? With 3 tiers to cover your Devy, college football, and dynasty needs, the Devy Royale has a tier for you. Patrons in the day tier or higher get exclusive access to the rankings database, including consensus combined Devy and Dynasty rankings, each analyst's personal rankings, and separated Devy and Dynasty rankings for every type of fantasy football draft. Patrons in all tiers get access to the incredibly active Discord server, in which our community collectively helps each other win fantasy leagues and has fun in the process. Last but not least, all patrons in the day tier or higher get access to the College Football Manifesto, a more than 300-page document highlighting every Power 5 college football team, Devy players, mock drafts, strategy guides, position battles, and so much more. Head to patreon.com/the Devy Royale to join today.